everyone. I'm Bennett from Tim Stark, and tonight my team and I will be presenting on McDonald's Corporation's international business activities. I myself will be presenting on their market entry strategies, and Edina will be presenting on how it integrates its activities into its company structure. Feng will be presenting on their staffing policies and HRM management. And Sigit will be presenting on the problems encountered by the company and the strategies they've employed against these problems. And finally, Sapchen will discuss on the successes achieved by McDonald's in their international business. So as a brief introduction, McDonald's derived their name from the McDonald brothers, who founded this speedy service system. But the company was subsequently acquired by Ray Kroc, which expanded the company into the largest restaurant in the world, which is actually quite impressive when you consider how fragmented the fast food market really is. Also, the McDonald's also focuses on acquiring the real estate beneath the restaurants. And through the years, they've owned about 45% of the real estate underneath their restaurants and about 70% of their buildings, which makes them one of the biggest real estate managers in the world. And all this success is built on the focus on speed and productivity within food production, which eventually evolves into their company motto, the QSCV, which is quality, service, cleanliness, and value. So McDonald's, and the way they enter the international market is basically just doing one thing really well. They are primarily a franchisor, and they have started as such. And at the moment, they are about having 85% of restaurants owned by independent franchisees. So in their franchising approach, they tie in with their franchisees with a 20-year agreement. And within the agreement, the franchisees are generally required to reinvest heavily into their business, as well as and to make sure that they've got a vested interest in making the business a success. Meanwhile, for other markets that the McDonald's are less familiar with, they go into a joint venture agreement with a local partner. So in this case, they generally go for 50-50 proportion in terms of the equity ownership. And through their local partners, they gain local expertise and experience in innovate their menu to cater to local audiences. Meanwhile, for the third option, which isn't really a market entry strategy, it's more of a method for them to maintain their market presence. They license out their brand to other companies to open up their restaurant. And through this method, they manage to free up their capital and be less involved in the operations of the low markets with lower profitabilities. Yep. So I'll pass the baton to Edina.
Yep. So now I will explain about the McDonald's organizational structure. So basically, to support their market expansion strategy through franchising, joint venture, and licensing, as what Bennett just said, it is important for McDonald's to have a solid organizational structure in order to manage their comprehensive systems across the world. So basically, prior to Steve Easterbrook as the president and CEO, McDonald's applied a geographic functional structure, which means that dividing the entire markets into different geographic units, such as United States, Europe, Asia Pacific, Middle East and Africa, and also other countries and corporate. So due to the various tastes and requirements, each geographic unit has to be responsible with the production and marketing strategies in order to meet the local expectation as well as to optimize their local development. However, as the competition in the fast food industry was kept increasing, this structure was no longer result in effective and efficient management practices. So as the result, in 2014, McDonald's experienced a 15% drop on their annual profits. So in order to tackle this issue in 2015, Steve announced that he wants to make McDonald's as a modern and progressive burger company. So on the 1st July 2015, McDonald's introduced the new organizational structure, which aimed to reduce bureaucracy as well as to simplify their operations. So the objective of this new structure is basically to be more effective in focusing and responding to the customers' demands and needs. So the structure, as you guys can see here, the structure is divided into a well-established US market, followed by international markets, which including Australia, and then high growth markets such as China and Russia, as well as the rest of the world and the foundational markets. So they are shown as several ways in which McDonald's integrate the international activities into the structure just now. So the first way is through their standardized business model, which consists of three key components, such as franchisees, suppliers, and employees. So actually this model enables McDonald's to constantly deliver relevant restaurant experience to the customers, as well as to identify, implement, and scale their innovative ideas. And second is by having a well-defined vision, as Bernard mentioned just now, which is commonly known as QSCE, quality, service, cleanliness, and value. So basically with this vision, it enables McDonald's businesses to work based on the common set of value, regardless where the business is conducted. So with this, the quality, it means that McDonald's want to produce a good and reliable quality to their customers across the globe. Followed by services, which means that McDonald's aim to differentiate themselves by giving a prominent level of service to all the customers. And then for the cleanliness, it means that McDonald's aim to prepare their food in a safe, hygienic, and clean environment. And lastly, to value, it means that McDonald's aim to provide excellent value in their offering to all the customers. And followed by the third integrated methods is through the globalization, which refers to the practice of providing products that is not only distributed globally, but also adapted to the local customers. So McDonald's achieved this localization practice by applying the concept of think global, act local principle, with the understanding that overseas markets require a high degree of local responsiveness as well as global integration. So for example, in their pricing strategy, McDonald's price their product based on the demand in each country. So the products are cost more relative to the income when it is perceived to be a luxury. So for example, the price of a Big Mac with fries in Chicago is equivalent to 14 minutes of office worker earnings, whereas the same product will cost about 11.4 hours of office workers earning in Lagos, Nigeria. So I will pass the phone to explain about this staffing policies.
Thank you, Elena. The international staffing policy of McDonald's as our research is mainly followed in terms of ethnocentric approach. And the ethnocentric approach is not only for the selection of key employees for key positions in all level of an operation, it also reflects in the way a multinational enterprise try to entice their culture in all restaurants over the world. And here we use the example of Russia with the three following examples. When McDonald's opened the first restaurant in Moscow in 1990, they expatriated American staff from America to Russia to assist and support in the process of selecting and training local staff. And all crew members in Russia also involved in 60-hour training like crew members in the United States. The second example here is McDonald's recruitment policy. They overlook the applicants who only can speak Russian. They just focus on applicants who can speak English, as language is a very important form of culture. So it means by eliminating all language barriers, McDonald's also spread American culture in its expansion. And the last example I mentioned here is the university, Hamburger University. After selecting and training staff, McDonald's sends Russia manager to Hamburger University. It's like the way they try to transfer core competencies as well as the way to manage people and also to spread American culture to all restaurants. In order to manage global workforce and promote cultural leadership, McDonald set up a global talent management program including 5 particular programs. The two first program is performance development system and talent review process. The performance system is applied for all employees, and the second one is applied for all the officer level. All two types of management belong to evaluation process, and the aim of the program is to maintain the standard for global performance management practice, ensure the consistency in staff evaluation, and develop a talent pool for McDonald's. In the motivation policies, McDonald's set up a reward system based on the philosophy pay for performance. They have a 5 scheme of rewarding everyone: base pay, short-term incentive like performance bonus, long-term incentive like stock option, healthcare benefits, recognition program which are organized annually to appreciate the best performer and reward them with certificate, and company car program is give the employees the right to use the company car. And in terms of training and development, the REST 3 program is leaders at McDonald's program is applied for only high potential individuals. McDonald's Leadership Institute is applied for the best performers in general, and Global Leadership Program is applied for the best performers in different regions like Pacific, Asia, Middle East, American, and McDonald's also try to approach to student and trade barriers by requiring no experience in recruitment criteria and being flexible working time for them. And finally, Hamburger University is still evidence for the way they try to approach to the new employees and give them supporting in training development in their career path. So now I will pass to Shijit to talk about the problem and solution of
Thank you, bro. First, I will talk about Russia. Привет. Как дела? So, the problem with Russia, during the first expansion of McDonald's in 1990, they have a lack of economic sophistication, which means that they have a lack of supporting business and infrastructure to meet the demand of McDonald's. So, the solution is constructed supply chain management. This means that McDonald's educates its independent suppliers, and also they create a meat processing factory to ensure that the quality meet the McDonald's standard. And also they have purchased from foreign market. The result, in 1990s, only 20% of the product were produced in Russia. In 2007, 20 years after the application, the proportion in first grows to 80% of the product were produced in Russia by McDonald's and independent suppliers. This chart from USA CI World Factbook shows that this demographic show that during the time McDonald's opened in Russia, they show a large number of youngsters. So, upon that reason, McDonald's dare to invest heavily of money to the Russia due to the growing population and higher proportion of youngsters. Next, I will talk about France. On the contrary, France have a sophisticated economic sophistication, but they have encountered different problems, which is ideological resistance, anti-globalization movement, food safety regarding the genetically modified organism, and then the French cultural identity. We all know that French are one of the products with their cuisine culture. Solution? McDonald's in France set up smart advertising campaign about food safety and locally employed policy, which is to win the heart of French population regarding McDonald's and then introduce French taste cuisine into the menu to familiarize McDonald with local contents, and then create friendly atmosphere through renovation and customization of McDonald's. They change the seating position or table to suit more French tastes. The result, McDonald's in French operation not only become the one of the most robust branch of McDonald's network, but also the sales, the same store sales, have increased as much as 20% after the implementation of this innovation. And then China. 晚安，我的朋友，你好吗？ The problem is the cultural difference and intense market competition from both local and international fast food industries, not only American but also from Japanese or Korean restaurants. Solution? Cultural adaptation through the installation of large round tables for 10 seats. According to Hofstede cultural difference theory, Chinese only score 20 in individualization, which means they have a big score in communalism. The application is they like to eat together with families and with communities. So McDonald's adapt those cultural things into their product. And then introduce Chinese taste cuisine menu, which is one of the most important menu, rice, and then created sporty and romantic restaurant themes to target youngster generation. Yep. Almost the same with Russia. They opened their restaurant in the 1990, and we can trace back this 2016 standard to 26 years ago, and still this shows us the large number of population. So, according to this one, McDonald's considered both Russia and China in a high-growth market. Okay, I'll pass this to Satya.
Thank you, Steve. Okay, now I'll talk about McDonald's notable success. There is 5 notable successes from McDonald's case. First, brand. The second one, human resource management. The third one, profit, international strategy, and CSR. About brand, also, I think all of you already know this jingle, right? Aram pam pam pam.
I'm loving it.
So it's like getting embedded to our mind years by years, and maybe also those 2 golden arches logo and the slogan like I'm loving it. And the other notable success, I will talk only 2 because time. So the corporate social responsibility, this program was used by McDonald's not only to obey the regulation from the government, but also to give the positive impact to their brand. The example for this program is first in Australia is Ronald McDonald House of Charity and also the Makers Community. Next, the reason behind the successes. First, to generate more profit, underlines its brand, and also emphasize its global status. It's mean like they want to develop their image, especially not only for their product and their service, but also for the new and the potential employees that want to hire, because the competition not only to gain the customer amongst the fast food chain, but also to hire the best new employees. And then conclusion, we have 3 conclusions as you can read here. First, the McDonald's, as you know, is the fast food icon of the century. And then again, the naysayers since 1990s, they always find motivation, whatever it is, to increase their sales and also maintain their profitability condition. The last conclusion is continuing their success. They will do the further expansion in Asian continent. And for the recommendation, first, our team recommend to McDonald's actually to do the further expansion into the untapped market, which means like the new market which has the potential in Africa, for example. And then do the differentiation, as I mentioned before, in terms of product, service, and also the image for to magnet the new potential employees. And the last one, to derive further standardization and efficiencies using the advanced technology. I think that's all. Thank you.
Any questions for this group? No, just more of a, not a question, more of a comment. This, I've got to tell you, this organisation is my favourite organisation to discuss the multi-domestic strategy of our partner conversion. Okay? Nobody does it better than these guys, where they standardise with the Big Macs wherever they can get away with it and all the rest of the menu. But whenever they go local, they do exactly what these guys have pointed out. In Russia, walk-ins rather than drive-throughs. You know, they go backward integration, that sort of thing. Swallow up suppliers and become their own supplier. When they hit the Indian market with a vegetarian Maharaja burger, when they hit the French market, they dim the lights, and French people tend to just stick around. They don't just churn and burn, which is what they rely on you to do there. So they dim the lights, they introduce petite patisseries and all that. And I've got to tell you, France is the second biggest market for McDonald's after the USA. Now, culturally speaking, that is just staggering, because the French are so into their haute cuisine and all the rest of it. So to have the #2 market for McDonald's as France is quite an achievement. Okay, that's full credit to their marketers. They're among the best in the business. Well done, chaps. Okay, and therein finishes the first half. Now, next week will be